So Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater on Steam Deck. So this comes out in a couple of days. I was one of those suckers that bought the expensive edition to play it a couple of days early. So this game on Steam Deck, first of all, is UE5, so my hopes are very, very low. Who knows, maybe. No Steam Deck compatibility as of yet, which is to be expected. Valve chooses Proton 9.0-4. Alright, so welcome to the options menu. We got 800p, VSync on, let's disable that, maximum frame rate 30. At the beginning I'm going to show you unlock frame rates. By default, TSR performance with medium graphical settings. Okay, and the filter, legacy style or nostalgic. Let's keep it as is for now and see what happens. If we need to lower anything, which we probably would, I'm going to show you. And I want to thank Instant Gaming for sponsoring this video. Instant Gaming is a website to get cheaper games for PC, PlayStation, Xbox and Nintendo Switch. Personally, for the Steam Deck, I love getting games here, especially older ones outside of the Steam sales. Hollow Knight for $13.47 US. Next week we got Silksong, so I think it's good to play this one first. You can also get Helldivers 2 for $35.63, Assassin's Creed Shadows for $44.02, and Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade for $36.01. Perfect game for Steam Deck, especially when it comes to performance. And you can also find the game we're playing today, kinda, for $67.27 for the Digital Deluxe Edition. This gives you early access to the game, or the Standard Edition for $59.25. With this partnership, we're giving away one free game to one of you guys each month. Just hit participate and you'll be participating for a game of your choice on Instant Gaming. So thanks again to Instant Gaming for sponsoring this video. Let's continue. Okay, welcome to Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. The game looks great, personally, when it comes to shadows, visuals and all that. But the performance, even with performance upscaling, which is 400p, we're getting 24 FPS. But this is the medium preset. Let's lower the settings and see what happens. So now I lowered everything to the absolute minimum. We were basically on medium settings at the start for some reason. Back in the game, and as you can see, there's not even shadows. Holy hell, this looks horrible. But we're above 30 FPS, I guess. Holy hell, this looks bad. This is zero effort, low settings. There's not even lighting. No ambient occlusion, no lighting, no nothing. No wonder the performance is better. So I lowered some settings, 1152 by 720, TSR performance still, but 1152 by 720 allows us to control the sharpness from the Steam Deck's sharpness option, which is a good option. And in order to have any semblance of an image, you need at least medium global illumination and medium shadows. Otherwise, you have no ambient occlusion and no shadows, which in my opinion looks worse than the original, but this is the absolute minimum you need to actually have shadows and ambient occlusion. Unfortunately, if you put the global illumination on medium and the shadows on low, you still have no shadows, but you get ambient occlusion, which is a bit weird. But this will be the only way for the game to look anything like a game at all, which in my opinion completely sucks that it has to be that way. But UE5 is just way too much for Steam Deck, and this game has very hefty requirements, unfortunately. So what I had to do is to actually lower everything. So we have performance upscaling, basically 400p. And apart from 400p, we got no shadows and no ambient occlusion whatsoever. So it's completely a completely flat image, as you can probably notice. Which I think is pretty sad, honestly. I was kind of expecting something like this on a UE5 game, but considering this, again, originally was a PlayStation 2 game, I know the graphics were way worse. The map is still chopped off in sections. So if I'm going from one area to the other, there's a mini loading screen in the middle. So it's not like this is a huge open world. It's not a bad looking game, at least on medium settings. But on low, it ends up looking worse than the original. The original has shadows, nice looking lighting. So yeah, I know it's hard to adjust a new technology to a lower power device. I'm not expecting this to run particularly great on Steam Deck. I mean, let's be honest here. The Steam Deck was never about that. But still, I think this game had potential to actually run properly, even if it's a UE5 game. Just, again, due to the fact that originally a PS2 game is basically the same game but with better visuals and quality of life improvements. So again, if I'm doing, okay, a big open world with no loading screens in the middle, I could probably understand. But this still has, as you can see, this separated sections. So where's the demanding stuff? How is it that demanding? It makes no sense at all, at least in my opinion. So what you need to do actually is just to lower everything. And you should be good to go. 30 FPS, but again, the game looks super flat. And at this point, I would probably just play the original. There's also no frame gen. So since there's no frame gen, you cannot really target anything else, even adding input lag. So I'm going to show you a very quick comparison in a moment about the visuals. But again, if you want the game to look anything like a new game, you need at least medium shadows and medium global illumination. There's also no ultra performance upscaling. Performance is the lowest. So let's look into 30, performance upscaling, and medium shadows and global illumination. Look at the difference on this. This is insanely better, obviously, but the lowest settings is just, okay, no lighting, no nothing. Again, I'm not justifying the Steam Deck on UE5. I mean, the Steam Deck has no business running this game, let's be honest. But at the same time, I think it shouldn't be this demanding. Especially with sectioned off levels like the original. It makes no sense at all. It looks significantly better, don't get me wrong, but again, I don't think it makes sense. I think they could have done way better than this. Although I do gotta say, I really do love the controls that feel like Metal Gear Solid 5. That's a fantastic addition, quality of life. But again, as I move here, there will be another loading screen. So you're jumping into a different map, and it's, again, completely separate. It's not like we have a completely open location. So I think they could have done a lot better when it comes to performance. I don't know what they're doing, what Virtuos is doing with UE5, but it's not working. Alright guys, so here we go, the side-by-side comparison. This is the lowest preset, and this one is medium global illumination and medium shadows. As you can see, the difference is absolute night and day, but also is the performance, 12 frames difference. Again, global illumination on low and shadows on low. Either if you put shadows on low, there will be no shadows. And if you put global illumination on low, there will be no ambient occlusion, no general lighting going on. And you can clearly notice this. I mean, just look at this. Also, we're at 50% resolution, so below 400p. And again, it's UE5, whatever, but there's no... I mean, who will play the game at this quality? Let's be honest here. Why would you play this at this quality if you have the original game that runs at 60 or 90 FPS if you want to? And it actually does have shadows going on. It has lighting going on. Basically, low settings here, I call it lazy, because it's basically, okay, let's turn off the lighting. Okay, let's turn off the shadows. Just remove it. This is not optimization. And again, I'm not saying, oh, the Steam Deck should run at 60 FPS or whatever. I wish they put less rays being sent from Lumen and lower quality shadows instead of removing them completely. I think that would solve the issue. Or maybe, I don't know, touch the draw distance. Only shadows and global illumination. No way to touch the draw distance, no way to touch the quality of the foliage, nothing. Completely not scalable, I would say. So yeah, obviously it wasn't going to work well on Steam Deck. I had a little bit of hope, considering again that the game actually does have the segmented maps. The maps are not like a big open map, they're small maps separated by loading screens. But no, somehow they still effed it up like that, so I'm disappointed. And well, when it comes to the Steam Deck 2, once that happens, I'll be back checking this one out. If you also noticed, a few minutes ago I did a live stream on lower end components for PC on a 4060, 3060, 5060, even a 1650. But yeah, the scalability of the game is not there. We're also heavily memory limited, and it's not going to go well on Steam Deck, obviously. So yeah, you either have to play the game like this or like this with a low frame rate. So in my opinion, just play the original. If you have the Steam Deck, I have a video that I linked in the pinned comment on how to play the original Metal Gear Solid 3 on Steam Deck. Looks fantastic. Doesn't have the new controls, but it's a completely playable experience. And all in all, it's the same game except in the controls. And the graphics. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see ya next time. Bye guys. Thanks for watching.